So to start out, the user selects one of the 9 possible load buttons for their file to be loaded into. Once they select one of the load buttons, for example, file 5, it takes them to their current directory in their MATLAB folder. They then select which audio file they wish to load into the audio sampler. The name of that audio file is then displayed in the box above the corresponding load button. After that, the audio file that is selected and uploaded is then set to the file's number as that number of audio file and the overall handle structure of the GUI. After the user has selected however many audio files they wish to use in their audio sampler, they then select which file number that they wish to use to be further manipulated. For example, if they chose file 4 here, that file would then be set to be the file that's used throughout the rest of the program for further commands. Here, the play button, which button to play the unedited file, or they can go to further commands and use effects. When they wish to stop the program early, the audio file early, they can use the stop button, which ceases all sound.
Here we have our effects. We have none, which is nothing to the file. Reverse, which plays the file backwards. Voice removal removes voices. High pass filter removes low frequency sounds. Low pass filter removes high frequency sounds. Delay creates an echo, and speed change changes the frequency of the audio file by user input.
So, if the user wishes to chop the audio sample, they can choose from either chopping from the start or chopping from the end. Before the user has to chop, they are also displayed with the length of file and seconds that they have chosen to be manipulated. After choosing either to chop from the start or end, they are prompted with how much time they wish to be taken off from the top or end, respectively. After they input the selected amount of time to be removed, the new audio file is then able to be played with the new manipulated length.
For the synthesizer, the user is prompted with which wave to use. The sine wave has the purest sound, and square and triangle wave has slightly distorted sounds. Then the user is able to choose what octave they like. The 4th octave is the middle octave, so where you have your middle C, and then if you want to go down an octave, each frequency is reduced by half, and if you want to go up an octave, it's multiplied by 2. And you get to choose a note that you like. They're all in flats and regular notes so that there isn't any confusion. And then you press your play button, and you are prompted with another screen that asks you how many seconds you want to play the note for.
To load an audio file into the audio sampler, the user selects the load button. A current directory of the MATLAB folder of the user then pops up and they select the requested .wav file. They then select which file they want to use from the file selector. With the newly uploaded file, the user is then allowed to select which file of the uploaded ones they wish to use. By selecting a file, they set the user data property of the overall handle structure for that list box to be that file name. The play button then compares the 2 strings to find out which file to play.
You look at me, you got nothing left to say.
In addition to normal playback for the audio file, the user can select different effects such as reverse that modify the audio file array.
For the voice removal effect, the vocals are removed from the audio file by the usage of a custom function acting on the earlier selected audio file. For the high-pass filter effect, the low pitches are removed from the selected audio file, leaving only the high-pitched sounds.
You look at me, you got nothing left to say. I'm only mad at you until I get my way.
For the low-pass filter effect, instead the high pitches are removed from the selected audio file, leaving only the low-pitched sounds.
You look at me, you got nothing left to say. I'm only mad at you until I get my way.
For the delay effect, the audio file is repeated to have an echoing effect through the use of a custom function. The speed change effect involves the use of the input DLG function that prompts the user to enter a frequency modifier. For example, we input 2 as the first modifier to double the speed of the audio file. For the second example of the speed change effect, we halve the speed by inputting 0.5 instead of 2.
For the chopping tool on the audio sampler, the user selects to chop from the start or end of the audio file first. The total length of the audio file is displayed in number of seconds at the bottom of the chopping tool, so that the user knows the length of the file. The user is then prompted to select how much time they wish to chop. For the first example, we chop 5 seconds from the start.
I'm on about at you until I get my way.
For the second example of the chopping tool, we select to chop from the end of the audio file, taking 6 seconds off this time instead.
You look at me, you got nothing left to say.
For the audio sampler synthesizer portion, the user is able to select one of 3 possible sound wave types. Our audio sampler contains a sine wave, square wave, and triangle wave. By selecting the wave type, the user data property of the wave type list box is set to a string of the selected wave type. This user data property will be accessed later for string comparison. The user also has a selection of 3 different octaves for the note to be played in. Just as the user data property is used for the sound wave type, it is the same way by setting the octave selection box's user data to be a string of the selected octave. The user finally selects one of the 13 possible notes ranging from A flat to G. Again, the user data property is of the note selection box is set to be a string of the selected note. Once the play button is pressed, the user is prompted with the length of time they wish the synthesized note to be played for. After that, the program runs through a large comparison of every possible combination of the 3 strings and locates which note will be played and plays it for the desired length.